Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome along to the Raw Link Up podcast. This is episode 17, would you believe? I am your host, the amazing Sniper Beef, and I'm joined today by.
Hi guys, Devastate here, and welcome back to another episode. How you doing this week, Beef?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. I had a pretty mental weekend, just non-stop stuff with the kids, but kids went back to school today, so back to routine, bit of normality. Get back to working out, doing some weight training tomorrow morning. So all good, all good. What about you?
Just it wasn't too busy a weekend for me. Did a little bit of gaming, and you say about the kids going back to school. This is my 100% avoid social media day that I ignore every year because my Facebook and my Twitter and all my feeds are just inundated with people taking pictures of their children going back to school, and I'm
Yeah,
like, I don't need to see this. Like,
yeah. I had
get me
the
off.
provide. I had the proviso from the wife. Make sure you take a picture of each of them by the front door, and then I need one at the end of the day with both of them by the front door. And if you can get one near the school as well, do that as well. And I was like, right, okay. So I think I've taken like 15 photos of the kids today. So
Honestly, it's literally just my entire feed. It's pictures of all my friends with like taking pictures because I'm like, I, I don't care. Like, no, not one person cares apart from a couple of grandparents on each person. So I put it as private. No one need. I don't need to see everyone's kids. I'm sorry, but like, so I go. Oh, it's that day. Jumping off Facebook, jumping off Twitter. I'll catch up on everything else tomorrow.
yes, yes, it is. I mean, from my perspective, it's nice to see the kids go from their respective years and what they look like
Oh
year to
yeah,
year. But I'm like, I kind of get there's no point in putting it on social media, but my wife does it for as well, what you said, literally the grandparents, the aunties and uncles that we never see, etc., who are on Facebook. Um, but yeah, I don't post any of it. It's not me. It's not me. Um, Anyway, should we move on to some gaming
yeah.
discussion?
Let's talk about something a bit more
First of all, I mean,
interesting.
for those of you who don't know what the link up is, let me just give
And
you a quick.
how have you? And how have you? How do you not know what it is? This
Yeah,
is
exactly,
episode
exactly.
17. If you've watched one before, you know what it is. But if you don't know it already, Beef is going to tell you what the hell this thing is.
So we're a group of gamers, PC gamers, and for the last 26 years we have done the link up. So the link up is where we essentially take all of our PCs, our desks, our chairs, and there'll be 10 to 15 of us. The most we've had is 17. We'll go around to one of our houses, we'll clear our living room out, dining room out, take our desk PCs and chairs, hook them up over a LAN and play PC games and order takeaway for an entire week, for a full 7 days. We have an opening ceremony at the start where we do a bunch of drinking games, some other games and stuff as well. And honestly, it's one of the greatest weeks of the year, every year. And yeah, we're into our 40s now, and we've been doing this since our late teens. So it's absolutely fantastic. And then this year, Devastate and I decided to start the podcast to discuss everything to do with the link up, but also anything gaming related and anything else that takes our fancy even. And as yeah, Devastate said, we're on episode 17 at the moment, which is unbelievable how quick time is flying. But yeah, any questions on the link up, drop in the comments as usual. But let's kick off with some gaming news. Um, so Acer has launched a new gaming laptop concept, which has got like it's a pop-out gamepad, which then can be split into like almost like a Nintendo Switch controller. So you know how like the Nintendo Switch, obviously when you put it on its dock, you can take it off, connect the two controllers either side, and you've got like a handheld like Game Gear from like back in our days. But this one is from a laptop, and then you can essentially disconnect them and play almost like two-player like Mario equivalent. And I'm like, has that got any legs from a PC gaming perspective? I can't see it unless it's going to be a party type game like Super Mario or Mario Kart. So I've recently got a Switch very recently for my kid's birthday, and playing Super Mario Kart is genuinely really good fun. We've got four controllers, four of us play. It's really good, but Would you do that on a laptop with a friend?
No.
I can't see it. Um, I can see like you might have a controller for one person to play on something like a gaming sim, racing sim, something like that. Maybe even a first person shooter. But would you do a two-player game on a 15-inch? Obviously, I don't know let me have a quick look what the size of the screen is, but it doesn't. No, it doesn't say anything about the
No,
size of
I
the
mean it's
screen.
probably
But
going to be a 17-inch screen.
yeah, I mean,
Uh,
it's still not big enough though, is it? Like you can't run dual screen on a 17-inch screen, can you?
no,
And there's not going to be a game where you can do a two-player on one screen, is there?
no,
No. So I'm
I don't get it at all. Why you don't just go out and buy a regular old controller that connects into a Windows machine, um, and buy, because this will be gimmick price as well. It's probably got another £200-300 on top of its regular laptop price for this like gimmick, and they'll sell some, but I don't see. Um, I see literally no point in it.
no, and the thing is like because it's a gaming focused laptop, it's going to have decent specs. It's going to be probably what 1700-1800 quid
Yeah,
as a
comfortably.
minimum.
Yeah.
Plus whatever the functionality of the new gamepad is, yeah, you're probably looking at pushing £2,000 or $2,500. You'd be better off. But I mean, if portability is your requirement, I can get it, but you can spend your money a lot more efficiently, I think. And I think that probably leads us quite nicely into the next bit of gaming news, which I stumbled upon, which was I don't even quite know if it's news, but I was like, I couldn't genuinely believe it. So Turtle Beach, obviously the headset gamepad designers, are launching glow in the dark controllers compatible with Nintendo Switch, Xbox, and PC as we go into the final quarter of this year. And I'm like, why are people launching glow in the dark controllers? Again, to your point on the first news article around the gamepad, it's gimmicky, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the article I was reading, the head of Turtle Beach was talking about collecting them, and I'm like, who's going to go and spend 50 quid on a controller and collect all the different versions of the glow in the dark ones? I
No,
mean,
I don't get
it's going to
it.
be a few fanboys,
Yeah.
but I mean, would I buy a glow in the dark controller over like the one that you were just showing on your screen there? Probably not.
No.
Especially if there's an inflated price on it. Um, but yeah,
Now, the only thing
very,
I would say that, I mean, I remember back when I was a young lad, probably 10, 11, 12. There was a lot of glow in the dark stuff for kids then.
yeah,
Is this just one of those things that a kid will go, oh, this glows in the dark, can I have it?
yeah. Cash grab.
And yeah, just a pure money maker, earn a quick buck. I believe. Look, what functionality? Like, firstly, you shouldn't be playing games in the dark anyway. So
No, it's bad for your eyes.
it's
Very
bad
bad
for
for
you.
your eyes.
So I mean, but we all do it. Come on, let's be honest. We play in suboptimal light.
Yeah, I mean,
If you see some of the old Raw Link footage, and we're playing at midnight, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and the lights are dim, and we have bright screens like penetrating into our eyes, like that's the sort of stuff that happens. But look, it's not good for your eyes, especially not good for kids' eyes
no.
as they're growing. And there's no adults that are going to buy this. Look, there's always going to be a few, but there's going to be no adults buying this.
I mean, if it was a Razer one, we know Rage Quits would be buying it because obviously it's got all the RGB you'll ever need.
Yeah. But then it won't be going in
But
the dark. I mean, that's what they should have done. They should make the ultimate RGB gamer handset.
yeah,
The ultimate RGB, and then charge 200 quid for it or 300 quid, and because it's got a Razer badge on it, people will buy it.
absolutely, absolutely.
Um,
Um, talking. Oh, that goes nicely into our next news article, and it's touching on the first one as well. So, Ace has revealed the new Nitro Blaze 7 handheld gaming PC. Now, looking at the specs on this, so this has got a 1080p, 144 hertz screen.
Yep.
And bear in mind, this is handheld, so it's not much bigger than.
7-inch screen,
Uh,
7-inch
it is a
screen.
7-inch,
Yeah.
7-inch screen. 16 gigs of RAM,
Mm-hmm.
2 terabyte NVMe SSD.
Is that running the AMD mobile CPU? I would
Yes, by the
imagine.
looks of it. Yeah, yeah.
Because that's
Um,
got that's got the good graphics chipset in for mobile gaming. It's good. Now,
yes, yeah. It just looks like I don't know why I would buy it, if that makes sense. Like, unless there's specific games for it, why am I buying it over playing it on a full experience, i.e., on my gaming PC?
well, so there's a couple of things. So let me talk you through it. So this market is exploding right now.
Yes,
So
I know. Yeah,
ultimately, you got like the Steam Deck that came out. But essentially, you've got lots and lots of different manufacturers over the last year create much of a muchness controllers, range pretty much from anywhere from sort of 800 to 1700 quid. But the whole purpose is everyone saw how well the Switch did,
yeah.
and that was about portable gaming because, look, being realistic, mobile gaming is still not great.
No, but the mobile gaming market is still massive, like absolutely enormous. But then,
the games for it are not great. But then,
yeah,
as soon as you have one of these devices and you put it into in like Steam Big Picture mode, and it runs as if it was a console, and you have full control, you have
your analog sticks.
your dual analog sticks, your double triggers, like it basically allows you to go and do full on PC gaming on the go. So imagine you going on a flight for 3 hours, or imagine you're going on a train for a long time. Now their battery lasts about 2 hours, so you're going to need a power socket. But essentially, they are a competitor for people who want to game while traveling. You're never going to use it. You're not really going to use it at home. You might sit on the sofa and like put your feet up and play it. Well,
I could see, actually, like thinking about it, when you're saying sitting on the sofa, like I could see that working for me actually. So like, I let my kids play on my this one that I'm on right now, and then my old PC, I've also got that hooked up, so they play Minecraft together. And I'm like, then I'm redundant, so I've got no PC to play on, so I've only got the TV. So there's a scenario there where I can go, oh look, I could just sit on the sofa, lie on the sofa, and just play on whatever I want to play on.
yeah.
So yeah, that could be. Hey, maybe that's the Christmas present sorted.
And you also know that the boys will then steal that as well.
No. They'll be like, no, this is Daddy's. You're not allowed to touch it ever. There's no scenario where you're allowed to play it. You get to play on my unbelievable full gaming PC with the best monitor you can buy, on the best desk you can buy, with an unbelievable setup. I'm going to sit on the sofa and play on my little handheld, and you can like it.
Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts. But yeah, so the market's exploded, and to be honest, I haven't really delved deep in like there's quite a few different ones. If you want us to do in a future app, we'll do a little comparison inspection, do a whole talk about it. Drop it in the comments, and we'll do a bit of a deep dive into all of them. If you want
to be honest, I'm just looking at this this article on GameSpot at the moment, and there's so many, like, I didn't realize how many different handheld gaming PCs there are.
Yeah, I mean, it's exploded.
Like there's Lenovo's, there's MSI's, there's Asus ROGs.
Well, that's also on that side as well. So PlayStation announced a device, like I think it was called a PlayStation Portable. So I can't remember the exact name of it, but essentially it was to use in your house. So your PlayStation could be anywhere in the house, and using the Wi-Fi, you could play the PlayStation on a screen with two controllers on top, very much like a Switch. Now that has done incredibly well for Sony. They're selling them, and it's quite reasonable, like 200 or 300 quid. And that's done incredibly well, but obviously you're limited to only being in the house. So as far as I've heard some rumblings that they're going to look to do a full-on portable PlayStation again, almost like the old PSP,
Yeah, yeah,
with like latest technology. So because both the PlayStation, I believe PlayStation, but certainly the Xbox uses all the AMD architecture, the RDNA 4, for their CPUs, their GPUs. They've obviously got these handheld gaming PCs, so I think it'd be quite easy for Sony to transition into this like realm quite easily.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Um,
you're almost getting into the realm of cloud gaming, then, aren't you? To a certain degree, where you can, in theory, just
that's
game on.
completely failed though. Cloud gaming came out. Google Stadia came out. It's died. There was Nvidia Shield is still bobbing along, or was it Shadow Play still bobbing along? There was one other one that came out that's gone. We didn't have good enough technology
Yeah,
for
yeah, I agree.
cloud gaming yet.
It was kind of the concept and theory was kind of ahead of its time, wasn't it?
Mm,
The concept and theory behind it is absolutely, I can see it working, but we're not there yet, if that
mm,
makes sense. We need a device which you can play on, well, not even a device, do you? You need peripherals, should we say, that can do or go on anything and then connect to
yeah.
any game service, any game on the cloud, whatever. And I think it's, yeah, the concept's there, but yeah, we're kind of ahead of its time. But I'm just looking at the Asus ROG Ally X.
Mm,
So
that's the
it's a
main one.
7-inch Full HD AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme, 24 gigs of RAM,
Yeah.
1 terabyte M2 SSD, and Windows 11 Home, and it's £800.
Yeah, I think that's come down in price since launch.
Well, this is on Amazon.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I know, but I think this one, or there might be one above it. But
actually, I can tell you because obviously I can tell you what it was at launch because I've got it. I've got some software.
yeah.
So it's come down a total of £5
Oh, really?
since launch.
I
Yeah,
swear
on
it
Amazon.
launched at 999.
On Amazon, it's only come down £5.
I mean that, yeah.
Um, but yeah, 799. I mean, it looks nice. It looks like a nice bit of kit. But like, I'm trying to think, what would I actually play on it?
Well,
Is the
the
thing.
nice thing about it is because it can run Steam.
Yeah,
You could theoretically run any game that you have in your Steam library. Now, no one's going to want to play an RTS game. No,
Sins. You imagine playing
oh,
Sins on it.
it's yeah, that'll be like trying to play Sims with a controller. So,
Yeah, I
uh,
mean, you could play racing sims, you could play first person shooters. I think it would work fine with both of those. I mean, when was the Game Gear out? When was this the Game Gear out? I want to say
82, 83,
no,
84.
no, no. What was the handheld one?
Oh,
Was it,
the Game Gear. Sorry, I was saying Game Boy. The Game Gear.
yeah, I want to
Game
say
Gear came out
mid two
in.
thousands.
Oh no! Game Gear came out in '93. I want to say
We need to. I think we need to do this.
1992,
1990.
and yeah, because I had one.
Jesus.
I had one. Because had Sonic on it. I had a couple of games, and I remember I was on went down to the south coast of England. Came back from the beach, and I put it in my bag. I was a young kid then, and I had sand in my bag, and I got sand all in
Oh
the buttons,
no.
sand in like all the crevices, and it basically wrote the game boy. It basically ruined it.
Oh, wonder. Because then we also had was it the PSP?
Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was the game that I played a lot then.
PSP. What
Yeah.
was the
So then
PSP release? Yeah, the PSP is the one I was thinking more of. That was 2004.
yeah. So I was working in an electronics store at the time, so I had the PSP. That was a
It's
really
always
good
come full,
console.
yeah, we've always come full circle, haven't we?
Yeah,
From
but
where that was.
but what was really interesting with the PSP was if you can remember of the media it took. So the media that was used was a type of media called a UMD, which was it wasn't a mini disc. It was almost like it was like a bit rounded, but like circular over the top, and it had a tiny little spinning disc in it, and you brought games on these UMDs.
They're like
But
mini discs, isn't it?
it was like mini, but mini disc was obviously for audio. These were
Yeah.
for games, but they also started selling films on them. So I So at the time, I had this like a PSP. You could buy films and use it as a portable film player.
Oh
So,
wow!
so you could go. So, in the same way that like this, like what we were talking about, traveling, you could go and you could play games on the go. You buy games on UMD and play them, or you could buy films and watch and stick your headphones in and watch a film on it. It was for the time. It was absolutely brilliant. Now, I think it came out around the time of the PlayStation 2.
Yeah, that probably rings a bell. Yeah,
Maybe for PS3. But the graphics of the PSP were of PlayStation 1. So I remember playing like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
yeah. So PS2
On
launched 4 years before the PSP.
Yeah, so the PSP was essentially an equal to the original PlayStation.
Yeah,
And then they've gone through various PSPs. They had I remember the PSP Vita, I think was the
yeah, I remember
last
that.
one that they did. But ultimately, like it died a death because people switched from that to using mobile
Mobile
phones
phones.
for
Yeah,
games. Now, I actually think that there's been a lull in the quality of mobile. I don't think mobile games have increased in quality in the last 10 years.
nah, no.
People are still playing your Candy Crushes and
What's the
your Angry
Farmville? Is it
Birds.
Farmville?
Yeah, I don't know what it is on mobile.
I want to say it's
Um,
Farmville.
well, even if I go to let me go to the App Store and let me look at the most popular games.
I honestly, I've never played a mobile game on a smartphone. I've only played a mobile game back in the day, Snake 2
Wow,
and Snake
the
1. Like I've never genuinely whatever phone I've got, and I got we've all got smartphones now. I've never played a game on a smartphone.
that's interesting. I mean, Genshin Impact is number one. That is a proper gotcha game, and I I'm, I'm not going to get myself in trouble. You then got Call of Duty Mobile. Pokemon Go obviously exploded, which was people
Yeah,
going out, but that was using augmented reality.
yeah,
Then you've got Royal Match, which is that effectively scam in that purchase game.
yeah.
Heroes of History, Clash of Clans, everyone knows about.
Clash of
Clash
Clans.
Royale. You got PUBG Mobile, which is interesting when that came out. Now, interesting Roblox is in there, but I think it'd be. But there's nothing in here that you go, wow, it's amazing. Um,
I mean, even when Angry Birds came out, I didn't play Angry Birds on the phone.
like that,
Um,
Candy Crush, but there was nothing that's like that. I just think the gaming experience is just not there yet. People, and
oh
the
no, I
problem is,
lie. I lie. I've played one game. It was like a drag racing game on phone.
like
Probably
asphalt, like I don't know,
something like that.
yeah, asphalt
And it was all
7.
right. It passed the time, but like it's just got nothing on the full experience of playing on a PC, is it? Like like you and I, if we sat down and put together a Sims game, we could comfortably play it for 6, 7 hours, no problem, could we?
Yeah,
But you never sit there on literally sit there on your phone and go for 6, 7 hours, could you?
some people do. Some people do.
I mean, they've got a lot of time on their hands, haven't they? A lot of time on their hands.
Cool. Um,
Shall we move on?
yeah, that's what's next on the subject sheet.
Next on my list was Black Myth Wukong. We obviously talked about that last week.
Yeah, still going strong. Still
Yeah, I'll
going
let you
strong.
touch on the user numbers in a minute, but apparently there's 2 new DLCs, so they're going to be launching their next game, which is Black Myth Jiangxia. But apparently before that, there's going to be 2 new DLCs for Black Myth Wukong, which I think that'll only increase the longevity of the player base playing it. I think for sure.
Yeah, and
Um,
I mean, talk
but
about jumping on the bandwagon while you got all the players and you can earn the
yeah,
money.
yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? And obviously, as long as they do a good job of it, I think it's fine. But I mean, the game itself is going to be what? It's 50 quid, 50 quid a game, isn't it? Your DLC is probably going to be what? 15, something like that. If you got
Tough
two DLCs,
20 quid maybe.
15,
So,
20 quid. So you're pushing nearly 100 quid then, aren't you? Which I don't know. If you're going to get the game hours out of it, I can justify it. But yeah, cash grab, but they've got to do a good job of it.
well, talking of opposite of the cash grab, the subject I wanted to cover this week was Concord.
That's gone well, hasn't it? Really
Yeah.
well.
So, for those of you aware, Concord is a first-person shooter from Sony on Sony PlayStation. Came out end of July. Yesterday or this morning?
Yes.
They have said that the game server is being shut down in 2 days. On the 6th of September, they are shutting down the server less than 2 months after launching the game. Now, I've got they're arguable some numbers here, but so it's the cost of development for this game was between $80 and $200 million.
That's pocket change,
And
isn't
it's
it?
taken 8 years for this game. And it's for those who know, it's basically like Overwatch 2. It's bit crap. It's no, not Overwatch 2's crap, but like it's basically there's nothing special. It's just and they charge money for it. Nothing special in the game, and they had like some of the lowest numbers playing this game. So I'll give you a brief synopsis. So bear in mind, let's call it an average of 100 million that came out at the end of July.
It's had a solid 5 weeks of play, maybe 6.
Their all-time peak. So the most amount of players playing it at one time is 697. Not 1,000, 697.
That's gone down like a lead balloon, then, hasn't it?
In the last, the 24-hour peak, so we're recording this on Wednesday, 132 peak in the last 24 hours, and right now, 60. Now, those are Steam numbers, so PlayStation numbers will be different, but ultimately, those numbers are like they can't afford to keep the server. The server cost is more. No one is playing this game. It's got to be up there with one of the biggest flops of all time. I don't know a game, firstly, that has come out and within 2 months has basically been cancelled from a legit publisher. And like, if you spent 50 grand on developing a game and it's not gone well, like there's obviously been some shit.
I think whatever money you've spent on a game developing it, whatever game has been launched, whether it's from a AAA rated publisher or an indie studio where there's a few people doing it, whatever money you spent and whatever time you spent to then cancel the game after 5 weeks is an absolute cataclysmic failure.
Yeah.
Imagine Windows launched Windows 12. Oh no, we're going to close it down after 5 weeks. I mean, can you imagine?
I mean, it's like astonishing. And now there is a bit that Sony themselves have come out and said this. They said the game wasn't up to our standards, and it certainly didn't meet your standards. And so I welcome them coming out, understanding they're accepting their failure and shut it down. Now everyone's getting a full refund. If you bought it through Steam or through the Sony store, fine, they're going to give you the refund. If you bought it retail, you've got to go back to a retailer and get a refund on a game. That's going to be fun. But look, essentially, absolute cataclysmic fail for Sony as a publisher. It's embarrassing. And look, that is ultimately a risk. If you start developing a game and you're in development for 8 years, that game will had to have been like your technology's moved so far. That first code set from when you first started developing it must have changed so much. There's no wonder. Like, unless you're Rockstar with GTA, that game does take years and years and years to build. These big MMORPGs take years to build.
Yep.
But to take 8 years now, and to think that your game in 8 years will be good enough, I think it's very troubling. I think that it's Firewalk Studios, who are the developers, is ultimately naive. Now, I don't know whether Firewalk Studios are owned by PlayStation. So PlayStation, the problem is when you have publishers and they put pressure on you to release something that's subpar. We've seen that a lot with other developers. What was the other game earlier this year that got a lot of hate, backlash, because the game wasn't ready?
I remember it.
Yeah.
It's on the
Look at even Paradox with City Skylines 2. They had to release a game that was so buggy. They said we're releasing the game, and they released it so buggy that it basically got like a massive negative downspike as well. So,
I mean, you think 8 years. 8 years ago is 2016, or 8 years forward is 2032. I mean.
yeah,
Where are they just from a chipset and a graphics GPU perspective? Where are we going to be in 2032?
yeah. So how can you think about designing a game?
Yeah, you've got to basically think, okay, we won't be using UE5 in 2032. It's probably going to be UE6, maybe UE7 in 8 years' time. So you've got to be basically designing a game where it literally looks like it's real life, whatever type of game it is, and the graphics have got to be unbelievable, but the gameplay has got to live up to whatever the genre or type of game which is popping off at the time is. So obviously there's like from if we talk right now, all the talk is about Black Ops 6. Like there's all the talk is about, right, is Black Ops 6 going to live up to the hype? And then obviously Devastate touched on GTA 6 next year. We're both hoping that's going to be absolutely incredible, because that'll be a massive link-up game for us next year if GTA 6 is going to be there. But again, to Devastate's point, GTA 6 has taken an eternity to come to fruition. But you'd like to think that when it does, it's going to be absolutely incredible. So yeah, very interesting one. Very interesting one.
Yeah. So but what I want to do is use that as like the game wasn't ready for release, but literally breaking news again in the last 24 hours. So those of you who know, I'm a football fiend, and I play a lot of FIFA, and I also play a lot of Football Manager. I've been playing Football Manager since Championship Manager 0304, I think I've been.
Yeah, I used to play Champman 2000, 2001. I remember it vividly. I played so many hours of it.
Yeah.
And I got to the year like 20, like about now, like 2020 something. And at the time I was like, I've put a lot of time and effort into this game. A lot of time and effort. But like even before that, I was playing Premier Manager 98 on the, was it the Mega Drive or was it the PS1? Might have been the Mega Drive. I can't remember. It was Premier Manager 98. I remember because you would, right, the first player you'd buy George Ware straight out the gate.
George Ware.
And it's just the same every year. And yeah, it was fantastic game.
But yes, so Football Manager have Football Manager 25, FM25 usually comes out beginning of November. Now they've got a bit drastic this year. So for the last 2 years, they've transitioned onto the Unity game engine. So we're going to have really good, fingers crossed, really good player graphics.
Good. Yeah.
There's a lot of completely different. I've seen a lot of the screenshots from behind the scenes. It looks incredible. But so they have came out this in the last 24 hours and said, we are not ready for the beginning of November, and it'll be at the end of November. So they've actually said we are not happy within its proposed state, and they've said you're not going to be able to have international managers in this game. We would rather focus on creating the core game mechanic for club managers, because only I think it was 4% of all players ever go into the international like manager element of it. The international management of it is pretty crap anyway. But so all their resources are now going in, um, and
But that's massive. That's like you think from a just a game launch perspective. They want to launch if they're launching at the beginning of November. They're there for basically Black Friday and in the run up to Christmas. And if they're going to go to the end of November, so they're going to miss the Black Friday and the Cyber Monday week as it would be as it is now.
yeah,
So that's gone. Then you've got basically 3 weeks to sell the game. So they're going to have to pump money into marketing and advertising to really push the game. Otherwise, where their sales would be sort of expected to be here, they're going to be a lot lower down, and it's going to be classed as a not a negative launch, but a not as successful as previous years' launch. But then if they are delaying it, at least they've communicated that to the fans. Then you would hope that there's going to be a bit more longevity to it in terms of people continuing to buy it going forward.
yeah, no, I agree. That's what I think I sort of respect SI for ultimately being that and just saying, look, they know the risk in doing this, but I tell you what, if they come out with a terrible game,
Yeah.
because it's such a niche community,
Yeah.
that they can absolutely kill the good faith that they built up over the years. So
Yeah, they'll get rinsed in reviews, won't they?
yeah,
If it was a terrible game, it'll get rinsed in reviews. It will go on all of the gaming review channels and get absolutely
yeah,
beat to death, and then their sales will suffer even more. So to your point, it's better that they communicate ahead of the time and said, "Hey guys, hold our hands up. We don't want to launch a shitty game. We're going to launch one which is fully fledged to the level that we want it to be. But it's just you're going to have to wait another 3-4 weeks."
yeah, and I think that's fine. I mean, they've got so much good press. So they just had the FM E World Cup, FIFA E World Cup, this last couple of weeks. In the final was in Liverpool, I think. So that they got like FIFA are like paying for Football Manager to be part of that esports world. So like it's an exciting time for the Football Manager community, which has been a traditional single player game to go into more of a multiplayer competitive environment. I think it's and they can't they're high on the coattails of all this good news stuff. They drop obviously this bit of frustrating news today, but ultimately, if they deliver a subpar product, you can't have a subpar product just after you've had an incredible E World Cup for FM. Not
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Completely agree.
well.
Completely
Speaking
agree.
of football,
Indeed, the well, it's happened. Devastate has overtaken me in the Fantasy Premier League, and he will remain there for the rest of the season. If there's a scenario where I can come back, it's not going to happen. I got 69 points this week. He got 88. He's now on 222, so he is 18 points ahead of me. I'm on 204. I had an all right week. I was mildly happy with it, but again, Devastate has a lot more time than me to watch all the football and research it. So I'm usually doing my team at about 10:45 on a Saturday morning once I've got the kids back from swimming lessons, and I'd spend maybe 5 minutes on it, and then away we go. So
that's what you got to do on Friday night.
I think I'm usually busy doing stuff on Friday. I'm out this Friday night for one of the gamers' birthdays. Lumpy, his birthday. Yeah, I'm usually busy on Friday nights. But yes, unfortunately. And then United had a absolutely car crash of a game, but I mean, it's Casemiro, like, just massively at fault for, like, everything. Like, I watched the highlights of it, and I was like, I mean, just giving the ball away. Not only for two of the goals, but just so often just getting dispossessed. And I'm like, this is the time when we need Manuel Ugarte, who obviously we just signed, most most tackles of any player in Europe in that position. And I'm like, brilliant. Let's get him in. Hopefully, he's going to do pretty well. But
Casemiro came in from Real Madrid, mate, and he was doing bits of Real Madrid. Yeah, like United are where careers go to die now.
what's the thing? Like Casemiro's first season was absolutely outstanding, wasn't it? Like he was probably player of the season in
I think
my
it
eyes
was,
in his first
yeah.
season. And then last season was on the downward, and I mean, he's already started absolutely abysmally. And the thing is, he is paid so much money compared to everyone else in the team.
I think it's
Like,
350 a week.
I mean, whatever, if it's any more than an apple, he's getting paid too much at the moment.
I mean,
So, I mean, if Ugarte starts well, there's no way Casemiro is getting in the starting lineup going forward, because it would be Ugarte and Mainu
yeah.
holding midfielders, and Mainu has free reign to go on a little bit as well. I can see that working. But then, like, I'm kind of annoyed that we sold Scott McTominay, given that how bad Casemiro is, because I'd rather have Scott McTominay in there, because at least he goes and scores goals occasionally.
Yeah, I am.
But we got 30 million for McTominay,
Yeah.
so I can't really complain. I mean, United, from a selling perspective, have actually sold and got rid of a lot of dead wood,
Yeah. Same as
which I'm
us.
quite pleased with. So I can't really complain. They've had, in terms of a transfer window, I think it's been pretty successful. Well, I say it's successful. It's probably been the best transfer window I've seen post Fergie era, in terms of getting rid of a lot of players who we don't either utilise or are too high on the wage bill, and we bought in. Obviously, there's only one or two that we've seen thus far. Mazraoui, I think, has been pretty good thus far. But De Ligt, he's only played a game and a half essentially, so can't really give him anything. Lenny Yoro obviously got injured pre-season, which is just like, I mean, you can't make it up, and he's only 18 years old as well. And then obviously Ugarte just signed, so I don't think there's anyone else. I think we signed 5 players, so yeah, we'll have to see. But
Yeah. Well, my weekend
yeah,
wasn't a massive amount better, mate. I mean, I ultimately had. I'm an Arsenal fan, and obviously we drew 1-1 with Brighton. Declan Rice getting sent off straight after half time for the
honestly, that was
second
one of the
yellow.
worst things I've ever. Like, I wasn't watching it, but I was following it on Sky Sports app, and I was like, "What? He's been sent off for like kicking the ball away." So I presumed like he's like booted it or something. And then when I watched the replay, I'm like, I mean, he could have sneezed on it and the ball went just as
Oh
far.
no!
And like there was a challenge. I think I want to say last season on someone else, where they basically booted them from behind, exactly like the Brighton player did, and he got sent off straight
Mm.
away. I can't remember what the game it was, but I'm like, I mean, there's no scenario where Declan Rice gets a second yellow for that. If anything,
Well,
it's a red card for the Brighton player.
by the letter of the law, he still kicked the ball away,
Yeah,
regardless of how much. There's not a measurement in how
yeah,
far, how hard. There's
yeah.
kick that you moved the ball away when the player had a free kick. You kick the ball away. That is by the letter of the law a yellow card. Now, so I can't blame the referee, but what I can say is that use a bit of bloody common sense.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a stall tactic. All players do it. All like stall tactics happen all the time. Player gives away a foul, stands on the ball. Players run up to stop quick free kicks being taken. It's a pure stall tactic. So I think that there are certain things that referees have to take into account. I think he got something in the ear and saying he nicked the ball away there, and the referee's
But it
gone,
was so
"Oh,
quick.
okay,
It
yeah,
was so quick in terms of the speed at which he gave the second yellow.
yeah." He
Which, like,
came
I can
over, stood, wait for him to go up, and then went
yeah,
and was like,
yeah. I can kind of understand it if like it went to VAR and then he went to then, right, I know you were going to have a look on the screen. Go watch the screen, and then he retrospectively comes back and goes, okay, look, you kick the ball, letter of the law, you got to go. But like literally, boom, done within what 30 seconds of him. Well, not even probably 30 seconds of it happening, wasn't it?
yeah. So now he's going to miss. Well, we've got Tottenham next, so he's out for that game.
Do you think they'll appeal it or not?
You can't appeal yellows.
Oh yeah, it's only straight red you can appeal, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
So we have Moreno who joined us, and he's broken his collarbone. in
Oh,
training.
don't lie.
Gabriel, in the challenge, Gabriel fell on him. He's broken his collarbone, out for
Oh,
2 months. So,
oh, mate, you can't make that
so,
up.
so we've got to have against Spurs. We're going to have Jorginho and Partey, or Kai Havertz is going to have to drop back in, and we'll have to play.
Oh, you put Jorginho in, wouldn't you?
I'd like to think so, but
Yeah.
you never know what. But the thing is, it's quite a slow midfield. That like Thomas Partey, Jorginho is a slow
Yeah.
moving, not transactional like midfield. So, yeah. But look, we drop points. City continue to batter teams and score a lot of goals.
Did you? You must have had Haaland triple cap. No, not just captain.
Just
Yeah?
captain, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I actually spoke to someone the other day who has not had Haaland in their team at all this season.
well, if you had Salah instead of
Salah,
Haaland and you captained him every week, you'd still be on exactly the same amount of points as Haaland. So they're on identical points at the moment. So it's all right. I think that's it, isn't it, Beef?
It is indeed. That is it for episode 17 of the podcast. We much appreciate if you've stayed this long. If you could like and subscribe, we would also really appreciate that as well. We'll be back next time in a few days, or next week even. Until then, have a good rest of your week. I am the Amazing Sniper Beef.
And I'm Devastate. Catch you
Until next
later,
time.
peeps. Bye.